So I was walking down the street and this guy came up to me and he was like, "Hey Phreak, you're my hero." And I was like, "Thanks." And there's this girl who came up to me and she was like, "Hey Phreak, you're my hero." And I was like, "Thanks." Then there's this old lady walking down the street and she got raped. I think I've used that intro before, but you know what? I don't care, so screw you. Second thing to get out of the way is, yes, there's an elf in this game. Screw you, it's undead perspective, so die. Third thing to get out of the way in this game is that I have not watched Phreak before, and I thought it'd be kind of interesting to see how I would record an audio if I sort of came up with my first impressions and sort of made myself learn about it, and that way maybe it'll be better. I don't know, but you know what? It's worth a try. Why not? It'll probably be better than a Cygnus audio, no matter how much preparation I put into it. So there you go. Now, let's go ahead and get this to the, I guess, 15-second mark at 1x speed. From MYM Lucifer's point of view, no fog of war off, etc. I'm just going to go straight up from this guy's point of view. Now, you can already see Crip Cigarette going up, and now if you're not at 15 seconds and pause and whatnot, go ahead and pause Winamp or Windows Media Player if you're a noob, or whatever else you use, and get there, then unpause it, and we're going. Because we're unpausing right now. Going from 7 seconds to, oh, whatever. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, unpause. Yes, I know, that was a bit of a non sequitur. I don't care. Die. Right, so, this is Phreak from WCR.com. I'm not sure if you didn't understand that by now, but there you go. If you see this audio commentary at any other website, please contact legal. Okay. I don't know, I'm shooting really random. It's fun. That's what I do. I'm random. Now you can see quickly right there, you saw the necropolis rallied out to the altar. That's something that I occasionally do. It's obviously something that Lucifer does. And it's the whole rallying your necropolis to the next building location thing, which some people do. I don't like it because usually I can get stuff started faster, but considering that we had Korea versus Korea, I guess there was very, very little lag from whoever hosted, so that it's pretty easy to pick something up off of your necropolis. But considering that I get almost a second lag even on West, and I live in California, I like to be able to pick stuff up beforehand. It saves me a little bit of time. In any event, you can see that he's using an Echo Scout, and you can also notice that the food count works out such that he can make the Echo Scout and still make another ghoul. And I think that's pretty cool. Now, I think the main reason for the Echo Scout, correct me if I'm wrong, is to look for a fast expansion. And that'll up to fast expand on this map, even though it's relatively small. I mean, smaller than Lost Temple, smaller than Twisted Meadows, smaller than Knollwood. Yet people expand on this map, and I'm not sure what's so alluring about Plunder Isle. I guess one of the main things is that the entrance to your expo and your main are pretty close together. I mean, there's that little ramp right there, and then, oh look, there's your base. Also, it's sort of, at least in terms of fighting undead, it's sort of now or never. In the fact that Plunder Isle is such an undead map, at least for undead versus night elf, because you've got gargs that can fly between the bases, and you can never catch them. I mean, you've got this tiny little bit of room, and I mean, the island themselves, because of all the ramps and stuff, it's so cramped you can hardly get your army through it. So even if you are going to try to chase gargs around, I mean, unless you've got about 3 drives and you've got some stuff camped in between the islands and stuff, I mean, you're not going to pick off gargs very easily. I mean, you've got your best bet is using a warden, and you know what? That's what his opponent is using. You can also see Dual War right here, and that's for some mass archers and fun stuff. But from Lucifer's point of view, it's like, okay, he's got Dual War. Okay, and he's got that altar, as you can see. Obviously, it's Tavern Heroes. Doesn't see anything special, really. So, he doesn't know exactly what to make of his opponent, but he sees the Warden, which is to be expected on this map, because, I mean, that's all you can use. I mean, FOK is your best bet fighting gargs in this map. And you know you're going to be fighting gargs. And now, I did look at the sort of unit stats before getting into this, before watching this, and I know it's going to be sort of Chippo versus garg, but, you always open up with, from the Undead player, a DK harassment, because, unless your opponent's really quick, which obviously Remind's going to be, but, if you're really quick, you can pick off some wisps. You also notice that Remind already has moved a couple of those wisps away from there. But now, wisps not close to a Moonwell is instant GG. However, you can see, he's already moved it in there, next to the Moonwell, and he's keeping him there. And he's, spamming the right click. And now, one of the things you can do is Undead, hit the Moonwell, then go after the wisps. That way, you have to click the Moonwell, and then use the hotkey, and then go after your, and then click his own wisp. Because if you hit the Moonwell and they right-click, it auto-casts to repair and not to heal. So if you can manage to hit the Moonwell, I mean, your opponent's pretty much screwed, and it's going to be a lot harder for them to do anything. You can see, he sees his opponent is still at tier 1, and that he's got a Huntress all going up. And he's like, well, that's a little odd. I mean, why is he going to get hunts at, this stage of the game, which is a little unorthodox. But also they're a prerequisite for AP. So he's like, well, he's got a bunch of archers and he's making a lot of them, as if to prepare himself for something. And his tree of life is also working, so he's building wisps, and this sort of means, well, he's going to be building an expansion, and wherever he's building it, it's somewhere. Also, the Ancient of Wars, I think, were up pretty late. I mean, I thought they would have been up by the time the DK got there, considering considering the rate at which ghouls were already produced. So there's very likely an expansion for Remind, and I don't think he's really scouting it very well. I mean, I would think right away that there's an expansion in this top left corner, because that's, becoming the most popular spot for Nautilus to expand. Now that everyone checks the island on Plunder, there is the other expo, which is in the top left corner. And Lucifer's really not scouting that. I mean, maybe he knows and he's just planning on hitting it later. Maybe he's trying to pretend that he's stupid, and that Remind's like, oh, he's never going to hit my expo, I don't need to build trees. So that may be what's going on. I can't say for sure, I'm not Lucifer, but there you go. There's the Tree of Life that was on the other side. And I knew it was one of those two positions. I mean, I didn't do Fog of War off or anything. I knew he had to be building an expansion pretty much, and it was either top left or behind on the other side of Plunder Island. I'm not sure that I mentioned that earlier on, but that is definitely something that I did keep in my mind. That there are two places to put the tree. If you're on either island, really, you can put it at your ramp, or you can put it in the recesses in the back. Obviously not on the top hill by the big ogres, but there is room in there in sort of the recesses and sort of across from the ramp. Now, anyway, you can see that he's doing dual crypt gargs, and that is the main thing you'll pretty much always see from Undead, because they're very versatile. And right now, because his opponent started with archers and everything, it's you can't go with 3 gargs and dual damage. I mean, he's going to bring his archers home, and his warden's gonna shadow strike you, your gargs, and you're gonna get them focused. And I mean, they do piercing damage. They don't do that much damage already yet. They don't do that much damage yet, is what I meant to say. So you're not gonna pick off any wisps. I mean, that's pretty much a guarantee. You're not gonna, knock out all his wisps and suddenly win the game because of 3 gargs. So, you wait for it. And you're like, well, I can just do some creeping for now, and hopefully that won't get stuck or get stolen by a hunt. And so he makes sure of that by coiling it. He really doesn't want to get a level 7 creep stolen by a friggin' huntress. I mean, especially since he's... Oh, never mind. Yeah, so, especially since the stakes of the match are that high. Anyway, I was going to mention Cecil, but I wasn't sure what I was going to say, so forget it. Also, expanding is also important against Nautilus on this map, because they do it, and even though they don't get a panda, it is possible for them to outmass you. I mean, it can happen. And, I wouldn't try to, I wouldn't risk it. Risk going 1 base versus 2, because that way Nautilus can win. But, anyway, you have the DK, Staff of Teleporting, to his Echo, and he's going to go get some dust and kill that hunt. And that's what I'm thinking he's going to do. Picks up the dust. I'm a genius. Good game, Huntress. Oh, Huntress steals the kill. Good game, German. Alright, so he's already backing off a little bit. Mostly just to creep out his expansion, though. He puts down the Sacrificial Skull, which allows him to put up Ziggurats. You can see, already 2 Ziggurats, and being safe is more important than being 200 gold up. Also, you can see, oh look, free guard kill, which is what I was talking about earlier with archers and Shadow Strike. You can knock out those gargs. I mean, you saw he took just 2 gargs, and it was clearly enough. So, making sure he's healed up, as, he doesn't want to have to heal up just on Blight, so here we go. He's got those Ziggurats up there. You can see, he would have lost pretty much everything if he didn't have Ziggurats in the making, at least. It helps make him a little block, I don't know. But, they can quickly be towers, and now you can see that Remind already knows that he's expanding. And so, being safe right there is what's going to help him out a lot, because otherwise, Remind would come back in 10 seconds and completely knock that out. So, he can, pretty soon upgrade the Ziggurats and, be in much better shape. You can see he's not doing quite so well in terms of killing the archers after coiling, but has managed to knock off those 2 that he coiled, so can't complain too much. In any event, you can see he's out of mana from killing archers, and that's definitely a worthwhile use of money, or the mana. I guess you could spend money to get mana potions and whatnot. But now you can see already the 2 APs protecting the gold mine, also a couple of moonwells to help sort of protect against ghouls coming after that. And that's something Nautilus always should do, especially on this map, is get some APs. Now, APs are the worst tower. If you don't count fortified / heavy armor, they have the least effective hit points. They have the least damage. They will always have the least damage, and the effective hit points can change if they have Nature's Blessing and Orc doesn't have fortified. But I mean, they're the weakest tower. They also cost pretty much the most. Undead towers cost 145 / 50, etc. Anyway, you can see best thing to do is just constantly focus units. If you have coil and you have healing wards, might as well use them, because this is sort of the sort of game plan that's really strong for Undead is these sort of smaller fights. The ward's not level 3. That makes a big difference. You can see right there, FOK kind of owned all those gargs. But before he has this sort of huge army, he can do a ton of damage. And if he's not fighting against, and also he figures that he has some time to do some damage before, or essentially he's doing it sort of while his expo's going up to make sure he's protecting his expo. Also, in addition to that, he's sort of paying attention to the fact that his opponent still doesn't have any good units aside from his archers. And archers, though they do plenty of damage versus air, they aren't durable. I mean, you coil and they're already below half hit points. This is of course level 2 coil, because it's level 3 DK, but you coil and they're below half hit points. You focus with gargs, they're gonna die in about 3 volleys. And it's the way it goes. It's really strong that way. So you can see DK pops up, starts owning some stuff. He's probably gonna have to cast something, and uses the heal scroll so that he doesn't get the health stone stolen. That's what you have to do. And with the Ogre Mauler wreaking havoc by luck, he's now just going to go after whatever he can. And he's also sort of focusing what's important. Now, he saw the Huntress there in the first place and went after that, but he then realizes that they're not important if your opponent is using Hunts and Archers, and you only have Gargs. Go after the Archers, because once they're gone, who cares if they have Hunts? They can't hit Gargs. I mean, sure, you'll DK, will get hit a little bit, but pops the health stone, who cares? He's got, the level 4 DK now at this point, and he sees his opponent is going for hippos now, so, that means hi, Chippo. But, staff teleportation, get out, and the Gargs are pretty free. So, you can see that this sort of pressure is very strong against Night Elves. You can see that he did not have any sort of tech advantage as he expanded before teching, so he had late hippos, which means he got owned. Because he's got these, lame archers, and this level 2 warden, and it's just like, free win. So, that is a good thing to do against Night Elf, who expand. Don't worry so much about taking out the expansion, just pressure them at tier 2, and catch their army outside of their APs, because that's really what Remind made a huge mistake in fighting him when he wasn't near his APs. I mean, sure, some of it was him trying to look for the expo, and then that got kind of raped. That expedition by, the 6 Gargs and the DK. But then even afterwards, you had, right at sort of the ramp of his expansion, he just kind of sat there and got himself owned without, sitting next to his APs, and that's really a very big mistake. That's something that you can't really afford to do as Night Elf, and something that you should definitely make a point of doing as Undead, because, I mean, if you can't win, I mean, when he only has archers, and he doesn't have any base defense, how are you going to beat him later on? Because then he's just going to go after your expo, be full of confidence, knock out your expansion and stuff. And now here's another fun point of what wardens like to do. They like to go FOK, and like rape the crap out of your expansion. And the lovely thing about this is that he was there, and beats the crap out of the warden. So, good job there, Remind. So, kind of lucky draw for Lucifer, but hey, I mean, take what you can get. Now you also notice that all the easy creeps are gone. I mean, everything else can attack air, so he did the best he could with it and managed to get the healing wards and get the Hellstone, though those were all used up. However, they were used really well in killing half of Remind's army. So now he's going for, let's kill all the dragons. And that's the game type he's playing now. Oh wait, but there's a warden, hi. Guess what, he's got dust, good game. So, he's going to own the crap out of this warden. And, good game. Yes, I believe that was a owned, as we call it in the US. So, he eventually gets to Black Citadel because, you're going to have to differentiate a bit between Gargs and Destros and Ghouls. And Ghouls are useless against Night Elf. Oh, look, unless you've got freaking, what's it called? Holy crap. Unless you've got Frenzy, because you're going to get owned by FOK, and you're going to get owned by FOK regardless, but you're going to do best if you can, actually kill his army as he's killing yours. Otherwise, it's like, well, he's killed your army, and you don't have one. So, yeah. In any event, it's this little game of hide-and-go-seek with these creeps in the middle, And the thing to remember is that hippos are better than gargs. They have better effective hit points, they have better damage per second. One hippo beats one garg. It's just the fact. Now you can upgrade the gargs, and if you upgrade the hippos, of course, you'll probably be in better shape. Also, Nova plays a big factor in that you've got Frost Nova, and that owns the crap out of massed air. However, you know, he's managed to creep the Tome of Intel. Now he should be able to pick that up with the Lich, considering all he's got are hippos. And he does actually manage to pick up the Tome. Big shock there. But now he's got, you know, his gargs chilling out. And he's kind of waiting. I mean, you know, they both have an expansion, and, you know, he has control with his heroes. I mean, he's 5'2" against 3, you know. He's got a big lead in heroes. He's gonna have a pretty good lead in army size. And he's just sort of trying to find out what's going on. And, of course, here comes the Jack yet again. So, Nova goes off, and this time he's fighting for real. And the best thing you can do is shift clicks and focus fire. If you can do that really quickly, you're gonna be in really good shape. But, as you can see, all the gargs are in orange or red. And reacting quickly is one of the most important things you can do. But with his remaining garg and whatnot, he manages to pick up the claws. He's going to lose that garg right there, and he's going to lose 2, really. But hippos can't hit ground, so nuking owns. That's also a lesson to learn. And so he's gotten, you know, up to 5 and almost 3. And now he's going to go for the other one, so he's owning. However, he's got a crapload of weak gargs, and now he's kind of getting owned, because he's ghosty like that. So down goes a garg. Good job. Way to go, Lucifer, you're a pro gamer. You can lose gargs to creeps. But he's got an expansion to creeps. Now, also one thing he does is he sort of moves the creeps away. You know, he hits and runs back. Lets him pick apart the units. One of the main things to do, or to, I guess, remember to do when you're fighting with sort of unarmored air, or against air, rather, you go for the level 6s first, because those things do more damage to your units. Now, I realize that the level 10 dragon does a crapload of damage, and that he automatically focus fires the weak units, because he is a level 7 or a level 10 creep. But, you know, it's more important that you get the ones that are first easy to kill. So I mean that's already, you know, damage lost. And then also, I mean, they do the bonus damage, so it's kind of worth it. Now, this is the sort of pinnacle of Remind's strat, and it's he can kill towers, he can kill the heroes, and he can kill the gargs. You know, he's got enough hippos to kill the gargs, and he's got chimes and everything to get rid of ghouls. And as you can see, I mean, you know, all he's got are ghouls and gargs. He's only got 65 food of it. His opponent, I'm going to check, has 79. Remind's got this huge advantage. And now Lucifer obviously can't exactly check the food count, but he sees way more hippos than I can handle, and if these chimes are going to rip the crap out of me, what can I do? And this is sort of what I'm pondering right now, is, you know, what the heck can Lucifer do? He's got heroes, that's all. I mean, he's going to have to, well, use sleep, because sleep and vamp are very, very important. They're going to be very, very important. Also, I'd consider dropping off that orb off to a melee hero just so he can hit air some more. However, he's also got, you know, the cold effect against that warden possibly, so that's also a thought. But, you know, 5-3-1 versus 4. I mean, hero advantage obviously in Lucifer's favor, but, you know, all that his opponent has is just this air. He's got great anti-ground, he's got great anti-air, but, you know, he's going to have to deal with it. So here we go. And then check this out. Runs the gargs away immediately, and with the Unholy Ore, he is able to actually keep pace with hippos. Hippos do run at the speed cap, and also the warden owns it AoE. But, you know, let's do as much damage as you can. So, here we go. Now you can see, just nukes out some hippos. Losing all his gargs as well is also a plus. And, you know, Shadow Strike going off, and he's really, you know, trying to find some sort of good anti-air. I mean, it's difficult because the hippos are going to completely rip him up. The ward is doing pretty well, though she's running out of mana eventually, you know. She's still doing pretty well, and, you know, he just has to come in with the gargs, try to, you know, separate the forces out, and then pick off what he can. And now this is going to be, right here he could do something really good with, you know, permaslowing the warden, but he's also worried about all those chimes right there, and he doesn't want to sort of lose his alarm to Chimera. So, he's going to Frost Nova a bit, and, you know, do some focus fire, you know, but losing his DK and everything, he's still really in horrible shape. I mean, you know, there's not a whole lot this guy can do. Now he's picked up some EXP on his Dreadlord, so, you know, you can see that he's got 3 times 38 EXP, but he's still in such horrible shape, so, you know, he's just trying to battle to find something useful to do. And what is that going to be? Well, it's going to be, first of all, not losing your Death Knight, and it's going to be not losing your Lich, also. And it's going to be focusing the Warden a little bit, making her use some items, but, I mean, it's still too many hippos, too many chimes to handle, you know, there's really not a whole lot he can do. And so, I'm repeating this, so, you know, what you're aiming for is this, forcing the TP away from the Warden. Because when you have 3 heroes, they have 1, it's pretty easy to knock out the hero, especially when it's lower than all of yours. I mean, you know, you've got level 3 nuke and a level 2 nuke, plus sleep. I mean, you can beat the crap out of that hero pretty easily. And so that's kind of the way you're going to end up beating the strategy, is that if he doesn't have too many chimes, and 3 isn't too many, I guess, because, you know, they do reduced damage to heroes. Wow, that was a lot of do. Do, redo. Okay, anyway. You know, the way he's going to beat this is just attrition, essentially, because there's no good way for the Night Elf to really pin the heroes down. I mean, yes, you've got Shadow Strike and you've got chimes which do good damage, but I mean, Hippos can't attack ground. Chimes are slow, and he's got Unholy Aura to nullify that sort of Imba Shadow Strike slowing advantage. And he's got Coil if it's anything but the DK, and the DK himself has enough strength to regen pretty well. Obviously, he can't just tank a Warden forever, but, you know, it'll be in decent shape. But, I mean, in the meantime, he's going to creep with his Gargs because he needs to do that. He's going to try to keep the DK away from there. Mainly, he's going to... I think the main thing he should do is actually level up the Dreadlord, which is what he's doing. He's getting Vamp. And if you have Vamp, I mean, and possibly some statues, which he's not making because of Chimes. No, just kidding. There's a statue. I wouldn't necessarily make statues because of Chimes, because they're just going to rip the crap out of you. But,
Research complete.
I mean, it's going to be free experience. It's like, well, 3 Chimes hit it, it's dead. You know, and that's not really very nice. But he's going to continually creep up his Dreadlord, and really, he's going to hope for level 2 sleep, because that's enough to really permalock that Warden in sleep. And, I mean, the only thing you can wake it up with is a freaking Chimera. Those things attack slowly, and if you Nova them, they attack even slower. And plus, you've got a 100 damage magic damage unit hitting your hero to wake it up. That's gotta kind of hurt, you know? And so he's making... Now, main thing he's doing is keeping his Death Knight away from the creeps as he's creeping. Moderate creeps. You know, he could creep more, but... Or better creeps, but there's really none of those on the map. So, he's making a point of getting as much EXP as he can. Now, I don't know if it happens for you guys, but you can notice that that gold mine turned yellow, which means it ran out of gold. So if you turn off Fog of War, you see that the gold mine in the main base ran out of gold. And I know that because I'm elite. But yeah, the gold mine changes shape. Also, you notice goes through Stormform hacks, imbalance completely. He's not losing his Gargs as fast as he could be. Guess what? Sleep, and now it's time to own. Cause check this out. He's got Vampora Gargs. He's got Nova. I mean, and he's got a healing scroll. So FOK healing scroll. And now he's got that statue. But you know what? You know, Remon was trying to go for that statue, but he didn't manage to get it. And this is one of the things that you really aim to do in Garg vs Hippo, is that you need some kind of an advantage, because now, as much as you'd like to focus fire, it's extremely difficult, and it's almost wasteful in the fact that they can kill each other in about 7 hits. I mean, you know, these Gargs have 100 max damage. Now, obviously, their average is, you know, 87, but and, you know, Hippos have 500 HP, and they have, you know, a good 4-something armor by this point. Probably, I'd say 7. Something around there. But, you know, the Hippos have armor, so they have, you know, pretty good effective hit points. It'll take, you know, around 8 to 10 shots to kill one. If you have 12 Gargs, you know, focus fire, focus fire, focus fire, focus fire, you know, you're gonna get rid of a lot of those. Gonna get rid of a lot of those Hippos. But, you know, you almost just sort of want to go AoE style, because you've got Nova, and that, you know, that's AoE. Maybe you'll have Carrion Storm eventually, that's AoE. And so, you know, that's almost better, in a sense. And if your opponent focus fires, you can always try to Coil. That's probably not going to happen. But essentially, you know, he's going to do what he can to try to, you know, get some small advantages. You know, picking off a Moonwell is always useful. And you got level 2 Vamp above level 1 Sleep. And I think that's really a very useful point to, or something very useful to point out, is that your opponent's probably not going to focus fire a lot either, just because it's so difficult to do. Battles go by so quickly that it's almost impossible to really just focus fire. So it's going to be AoE style, sort of, you know, just attack move, and even with FOK as well is part of the point, is that these guys can vamp so much damage back. You know, again, armor negates vamp, but I mean, you can still do a lot of damage. And you know, you can see right now he's picking apart, you know, the army as best he can. No, I'm not sure exactly, you know, how well this is going, because I can't really tell, because everything's just going off at once. But he seems to be pretty much in control, and suddenly you can see, oh, Gargs killed everything. And this is kind of one of the sort of wonders of this matchup, is that once you start winning, it just goes, you know? It's like, once there's a crack in the dam, like, the whole thing just breaks apart and all the water's flowing. So, in other words, owned is another word for that. And you can see that he's going to be doing the best to knock out this Warden. He has Nova, and he has Coil, so this is gone. Okay. Oh, TP, okay. But guess where the TP went? Right there. Free kill anyone. Wow, and I'm kind of shocked that he didn't notice that. Because that would have been free Warden kill. He has enough, almost enough mana on his Lich. Enough mana on his DK. He can just focus fire with Gargs and it'd be dead. But yeah, it doesn't really matter because he's going after this Tree of Eternity. And that's something that you should kind of note. That your opponent is going to be walking his tree when your gold mine runs out. So when yours runs out, his ran out. He's probably going to be walking it. I'm not sure if he saw it and noted that it wasn't there when he was attacking the main base. But either way, I mean, even if you don't see it, always go for it because you know it's going to be there. You know, when you're summoning your gold mine, he's walking his, so pay attention to that. Also, his opponent has a integral gold mine on his expansion, but he's not using it. Good job. But, you know, walks heroes away from the wisps. Very important to do. Actually managed to, never mind. And check this out. Gargs versus Enchanted, or Entangled Gold Mine. There you go. Now, a lot of this is because there's no Panda, and that's really why he's going Chippo so much, is because you're not going to be able to beat it with a ground army. You can't beat Gargs with the ground army, you can only do it pretty much with Hippos. But, they're so good at it, why not? Now, pretty much one of Remind's main mistakes is, well, losing his Warden so much and not being able to creep so well. And if he had gotten those 2 red creep camps, I don't have a doubt that he would have won. I mean, getting the Orb of Frost and the Claws of Attack 15 in his favor, big difference. I mean, it's, you know, 600 gold or something, and Orb of Frost is freaking Orb of Frost. So, I mean, I don't doubt that that would have kind of changed some things. But, either way, you know, he's now just picking apart the base. Who cares if his ghouls are fighting a Tree of Life, and you lose it? Doesn't really matter that much. You can see he already markers it back. And plus he's fighting on Blight, so good game. And I believe they have Frenzy. Nope, they don't have Frenzy. Sorry, he didn't even get Glow Frenzy, so he actually never planned to go ghouls at all because Gargs are so good. Plus, his opponent went Kime, so why go freaking... But now he's got this Imbo Warden right there. You can see FOK. Actually not doing anything at all. He didn't FOK, but he will, I would assume. And whatnot. So, Vengeance takes out an expansion. Vengeance is very good at taking out undead expansions, by the way. Because it kills an Echo, then summons something, kills another Echo, summons something else. So if you ever want to take out an undead expansion, send Vengeance over. It'll do it. And his Warden's just like raping the crap out of those ghouls. Doesn't really matter, he's losing his base, but, you know, it is. And meanwhile, his Dreadlord gets 4, Lich is almost 5. I mean, he pretty much killed everything that's worth EXP. That's what he did. He killed everything that was worthwhile to kill. And just kind of waiting for his opponent to make up enough army to gain more EXP. Because pretty much he knows that there's almost no way for his opponent to win. Though he has an expansion, he's got the heroes. I mean, there's almost no chance. You know, Nova and a hit. And, oh look, Gargs. Now, who cares? It's just over, because you've got level 2 band. And, check this out, look. Alt key. Oh look, all the Hippos are gone. Good game. No rematch. 3-3 versus 3-1. It's enough. Good game. So, essentially, if you're fighting Chippo, which Cygnus will probably tell you it's his strat, which it's not, you know, the way you do this is, you know, you have to get an early game advantage. I mean, if he didn't have that high level DK from the get-go, and that sort of raping Lich, and especially those red camps, I mean, he would not have a chance of winning this game. Without the heroes, he would not have won it. Also, without Vamp, he would not have won it. That was also a very, very important skill. It's sort of this AoE. I mean, the funny thing is that Undeads complain so much about, you know, the whole Night Elf Panda thing, is you have the Lich. The Lich is Breath of Fire plus Drunken Haze in one, plus it's more ranged, and, you know, it's on an intel hero, though it costs more, but, I mean, the main thing is that, I mean, Nova does the same thing that Drunken Haze does, just does a little bit less damage. I mean, they both slow damage, they both slow movement. Now, they slow the damage in different ways, either they attack slower or they miss half the time. Same thing, really, you deal half the damage. They also deal damage, pretty much instant. Now, the Panda has an advantage in, you know, getting extra damage over time with the combination, but that's a 150 mana combo, or 140, and it's on a strength hero. You can do that twice, maybe 3 times. Also, if you sleep in between haze and fire, all bets are off. I mean, you add in a Destro and you eat up the haze in time, completely worthless hero. You know? Plus, he's slow, he has no unholy aura, so you have to get boots of speed. I mean, obviously he's melee, so he can tank a little bit, which is useful. But you know, I'd almost rather have a Lich if I got to use coil and stuff. Obviously the Lich is frail, but you have coil and whatnot. I don't know. In any event, the way to beat Chippo is using freaking more gargs than he has hippos. You pretty much have to do that because, as you saw, the hippo guy, I mean, he upgraded 3-3 versus 3-1. Hippos have an advantage there. You know, gargs aren't being as durable, but with the nuking, you know, either that little bit of statue and the healing scroll, which pretty much saved him in the one fight, and the vamp and the nova, and it sort of just adds up to this sort of AoE beneficial on your side. I mean, you're going to have nova versus FOK. I mean, that's kind of guarantee. And I think vamp will pretty much equalize the advantage of hippos being more durable and doing more damage than the gargs, and the fact that, you know, you'll gain a lot of those hit points back because the gargs are always going to swing. I mean, you're pretty much not going to kill a garg before it swings. So, you know, it'll deal maybe 50 damage the first time, and it'll gain, I don't know, anywhere between 6 and 10, maybe 15 hit points back if it's like level, you know, imp of vamp. And then, you know, you just do that, you know, a couple of times, and you add some hit points, and because they have more armor than, you know, more natural armor than hippos, it adds up a little bit, and they attack pretty quickly. So, yeah, that equals out a little bit. But then you bring in Nova, and Nova just kind of trumps FOK. And if you have more scrolls, especially, that's also going to be a big deal. And then you sleep the Warden, and you know, the Tri-Hero was paramount to winning this game. If he went solo DK, no way he'd win. I mean, he needed the Nova, he needed the Vamp, he needed the sleep. All of those required. And you know, that's what he did, and that's sort of what won the game for him. That's how you beat Chippo. Also, I don't think I rambled too much about in this game compared to my others anyway. Yeah, so I think interesting mistakes of Lucifer. He didn't scout the back of the Plunder Isle thingy with the expansion, because there are 3 positions to expand it. You know, top left corner, you put it, you know, sort of in between the gold mine and your main. And then there's 2 spots on the island, either in the back or in the front. And Remine went in the back because you can't scout it as easily. You know, and Lucifer really didn't account for that. He didn't. I guess he hasn't seen that much or something, but he didn't think of it. Luckily for him, it didn't cost him the game. It was the early pressure, and that's something you do when your opponent expands. You pressure, because, I mean, essentially, if your opponent gives up at any given point, free base. Good game, Tree of Life. You know, if he runs away from this expansion, you kill the expansion right away. I don't care if you have 1 Garg and a 5 hit point DK. You hold this DK away from the tree, and you hit that freaking tree with the Garg. You know, you get rid of that crap. So, yeah. I believe this will be the end of this commentary. D-Boss is a noob. Diabolical is probably a bigger one, except for the fact that D-Boss is Canadians, and Canada sucks. I give training. Go, go, go. PM me. And this will be the end of this audio. About 34 minutes in length. Good game. Etc. Bye. Rafflecopter. GG.